of communication issues and difficulty. Maybe the deep state doesn't want us to talk with them, so we're gonna try and bring them on by their cell phone. We are trying to bring them by Skype as well. So let's see if we can bring them on now. Let's just pray for the program,
Hello.
Father. All right, have we got you on? We've got you on the cell phone on this Skype, so we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes. Here, let me put you on speakerphone.
Okay, great.
Do it through the phone.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen. Hopefully you can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up when you can. And
all right, we can hear you, but just barely. We're trying to hook it up to a Bluetooth speaker right fast.
All right, fantastic. Well, we hear you fantastic. You sound great, so don't worry about it. You can just go ahead and talk as you are, and we are recording it, so we'll have a recording. But let's open up first in a prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for our patriot brothers. We thank you for raising up American warriors to stand and defend the Constitution, defend the country, defend our president, defend our liberty and our properties. We ask your special blessing on their lives, on their safety, on their technology. We ask your blessing on this conversation, that every word that we have and every thought we have is from you and for your glory. We ask you in Jesus' name, amen. And let me know. Can you hear me okay? Am I coming through?
This doesn't have feedback.
Okay, they can't hear me. They cannot hear me. So let me try and bring them back in.
Okay.
By the cell phone.
Gotta get better technology equipment.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Goodbye.
Are you there?
Scott, we're having some problems with the audio on our end. We're doing the best we can to get it fixed.
I hear you, brother. It's okay. It's okay. We hear you fine. So I'm calling you right now, and we'll hopefully get through to you. We'll hopefully get through. We're used to this sort of we're used to this kind of disruption, and
There we go.
we hear you now.
We can hear you.
Good. Well, we're all patient. We're fighting the good fight together. Bad guys don't want us talking because they don't want patriots standing together. Let me just give you a quick briefing on who I am and who Michael J. is. I got a direct commission in the Army as PSYOP officer. I was at the State Department Counterterrorism Office. I was at Booz Allen Hamilton. I had a TSSEI. I was at SOCOM. I was at CENTCOM. I discovered all the terrorist financing that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Eric Holder were doing in Swiss bank accounts funding ISIS and ISIL in Libya and Syria. I wrote a report on it, and I've given it to Sidney Powell, and all of this stuff that's converging with Sidney Powell and Michael Flynn and myself, and all of this stuff started in 2012. And I don't know if you've seen my website or my book Shell Game, but all of this is exciting stuff. Michael J. and I are both Army. Mike was in Vietnam, and I'll let him introduce himself. But I want you to know you're standing with a couple guys that aren't afraid of any fight. We don't back down. We don't mince words. We're about conservative Christian truth and advancing the Constitution, protecting our country. And we're honored to have you with us to talk about who you are, what your backgrounds are militarily, what formed you, what brought you together as a team, how you see the adversaries of this country and what your short and long-term goals are, and everything and anything you want to say. We also have John Carmen with us, who's a former Secret Service guy, who's a good patriot. He's fought the good fight. So I'm going to hand it to Michael J. And Mike, you give the guys a briefing on your background. Go ahead, Michael J.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Welcome to the program. This program is called Shell Games because Scott Bennett wrote a book called Shell Games, a military whistleblower report. And we're still, because we both took the oath, as many others have, we're still reporting. We're still standing in the gap. We're still on mission, still defending the Constitution against all enemies. And most of our enemies are domestic. By the way, the foreign enemies that have been raised up against us, they've been raised up by our domestic enemies. We believe that 9/11 was a false flag, that it was carried out by the Mossad, our CIA, our military, by Saudi Arabia, and many people in our executive branch. We believe people like Dick Cheney and George Bush deserve to be in prison for mass murder and treason. We've got tremendous amount of evidence that those buildings didn't come down by planes, but they came down by internal explosions of numerous types. So what we're looking at is that America has been at war because we create our own enemies. In my own perspective, in being in Vietnam, I found out many years later that the OSS that became the CIA trained Ho Chi Minh in guerrilla warfare. So the reality is we also trained the Mujahideen to become the Taliban. We also armed Saddam Hussein so he could be our enemy. So what we're looking at is that at this time, this nation is filled with people who have gone through the public fool system and been conditioned to actually hate America. And the reality is, though, people our age and many of us that have taken the oath and want to defend the Constitution and preserve our rights must realize that this is not just a political battle. It's not just kinetic warfare, but it's a spiritual battle. And that's why Scott and I look at this as an exercise in spiritual warfare. We're serious about resisting those that are involved in child sacrifice and Satanism and murder, theft, and destruction. And we believe many of our demonic rat party representatives are deeply involved in child sacrifice and wicked behavior and treason, and they are the domestic enemy. So that's where we're coming from, brothers. So welcome aboard. Please introduce yourself and your group to us also.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for having us. We're having a little bit of trouble hearing you on our end, but we're making out part of it. My name is Cowboy Scout. I am the U.S. National President for Cowboys MC. To my right, I have my Vice President, Cowboy Saul. My left, I have Cowboy Wade. He's the founder of our organization. And to my far left here is Cowboy Blackjack. He's my national chaplain. So we are a Christian-based organization. We believe in our freedoms and our liberties. We believe that those things are trying to be stripped away from us by globalists and elites with deep pockets. We all served our country. We took a vow to uphold the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that oath never expired, the same as you guys probably feel as well. We're tired of seeing our country burned to the ground. We're tired of seeing history trying to be erased. We're tired of seeing people being victimized, killed, cops being demonized. We're sick of it all. We've had it. We're ready to make a stand. And the reason we're here today is we want to explain a little bit more in depth about who we are, what we stand for, and ask people for support. We need support. We need financial contributions. You can't win a war without money. And we all know that George Soros and the deep state is funding the elite, these brats throwing temper tantrums around the country and creating this chaos. We need money so I can put Cowboys on the ground. I don't know if anyone has seen the videos of Tulsa, Oklahoma, when the president came to Tulsa, but myself and a small group of my men went there. We went and spoke with the police. Police pretty much told us, hey, our hands are tied. You guys have fun, help us out. So we went down there, we patrolled the streets, and no nonsense happened. These guys are very much intimidated. They don't want to fight. They're cowards. All they want to do is intimidate, hurt, victimize, rape, loot, destroy, and they're against everything that the Cowboys MC, and as far as I'm concerned, the nation is against. It's immoral, it's unethical, and we won't stand for it. So today we're asking for the American public to stand with us. We need patriots to come on board. If you don't want to join our club, that's fine. You can just stand there and help us in any way that you can. We need financial support. We need resources, vehicles, attorneys, insurance companies to insure our guys, pepper spray, riot control rounds, tear gas, tasers, gas money, drones, intelligence. We need more intelligence than what we've got. We want to be on location to stop these guys from doing what they're doing. My men are ready to do it. We just need the support and help of the American people to do so.
Let me jump in and just, I know we're all on board the same team, but for legal purposes and information purposes, let me just say for the record, no one on this end works for the United States government in any capacity as a contractor or as an employee. That includes no police agencies, no FBI, no CIA, no military or government agency. And I'm assuming, and you can confirm, that no one on your end works for a government agency or law enforcement, FBI or CIA. Is that correct?
No, we don't have any law enforcement in our organization, but we do have veterans. We are a veteran organization. So at one point in time, we all raised our hand and said that we would do what we needed to do.
Good. So no one works for the government at present. No one is a mole or a contractor or being paid to be an operative for the FBI or any other government agency.
Absolutely not.
That's acknowledged, and it's important.
You want to elaborate on that, Wade?
Well, some members are still part of the military. How do I say?
Well,
this?
that's different.
Like myself, I'm part of an SF team.
Yeah, that's.
But we don't have any alphabet agencies within our organization.
Yeah. The only reason I say that is because, as we all know, the Malheur Refuge is a great learning moment when we saw 12 informants positioned in the Malheur Refuge working for the FBI under Obama that ended up listening and assassinating Robert Lavoie Finicum. And it's important to always remember legally that whenever you confront someone and you have a right to ask them, do you work for a government agency? Do you work for the FBI? Do you work for law enforcement? Are you an informant? Are you a criminal informant? They have to answer in the affirmative. And it's important to say that, to know those amongst whom you labor. And because you can never trust anyone. And we've seen by the Justice Department, the out of control Justice Department prosecuting people. Look at the Oregon Malheur Refuge incident with the Hammonds and the Bundys and Robert Lavoie Finicum was a pivotal moment in the history of this country, reminiscent of Oklahoma City bombing, and it was a terrible tragedy. And we have to learn from those things. That the government agencies, like what they did to Trump, my God, you have 2 FBI agents going into the White House and interrogating General Michael Flynn and turning this entire operation against him. And it's only by the skin of his teeth that we rescued him at the last moment. I won't go into the details of that, but we've seen just how corrupt some of these government agents, especially under the Obama administration, are, and how our President Trump, is being attacked on all sides. And sadly, he doesn't have real strong men around him. He doesn't have special military operators, special forces, PSYOP, civil affairs guys, Rangers. Those are the best of the best. Those are the men who really know how to fight and are smart and adaptive and creative. So that's what the president needs. But we have to first always start out with defending our perimeter and making sure everybody who's in our tent is real, is kosher, and isn't a spy or a criminal informant. So let the record show no one on this phone call and in this video and being interviewed in any capacity works for the United States government as a criminal informant or part of the law enforcement agency. The military membership that we have, we all share. We all took an oath. And that never dies. And I'm going to give it to Michael J. Mike, you wanted to make a comment before we continue. Go ahead.
I do. I think it's really important that we open up with.
We're really having a hard time hearing you, man.
I think it's really important that we open up with you giving everybody information about where they can send support to support you. Can you hear me any better?
Yeah. Mike said, give us information for how people can send support to you. If you have a website or email, or if you'd like them to channel it through us to you, go ahead and tell us.
We'd be happy to do that if you guys would wait till the end. We'd like to say our piece. I mean, that's why we're coming on here, but it's not the primary reason that we're on here.
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
I started to answer your question earlier about having any members of Department of Justice in this organization. That's a no. Department of Defense, yes, we have members still currently in the military. Okay, special operations type people. Now, I hope that answered your question completely about the Department of Justice and any aspect whatsoever.
Yeah, copy that. You're good to go. Go ahead.
Can't hear now.
We're having a real hard time hearing you guys. We're trying to make the best of this, though.
That's okay. Okay, you can hear it. If you can hear us, tell us
about who the Cowboys are and why we came to be. You guys mind if I say that?
Yes, please go ahead.
Go ahead.
So we're a group of misfit veterans that once we got out, we needed a brotherhood. This club is about brotherhood. This club is about our nation and our future. We want to see a sustainable future for our children, for our club, for our nation. All Cowboys live by a code. We push our minds and bodies to the limits. We master our emotions. We lead the way. We stand up for what we believe in, no matter the cost. We prove that through through actions, not words. We live every day as if it was our last. That's part of who we are. Our mission statement you can find on www.cowboysmc.com. We also have some stuff on Facebook under Cowboys MC. But to sum it up, we are here to fight for freedom. We stand for the Constitution and our way of life. If you show us respect, we will show you respect. We try to handle all things as diplomatically as possible. We live by respect, honor, and loyalty. Brotherhood. That's what this club is about, is brotherhood. We are our brother's keeper. We look out for one another. We are down for a fight if necessary, but make no mistake, our diplomacy or kindness is not weakness. We will do what we have to do to ensure the safety of our nation, and we want others to join us in doing so. The silent majority and the patriots sitting in the background on the sidelines need to come forward. It's a time to stand for what's right. As we get closer to the election, and even after the election, regardless of who wins, I feel like we're on the verge of losing our country. I think we're in civil war. They're just not man enough to declare it on their side right now.
Brother, are you part of a motorcycle club? Is that what MC stands for?
Yes, sir. We are Cowboys MC, which stands for Motorcycle Club, but we're also a 3% militia.
Were your members also in Bikers for Trump and things like that?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Are your members also affiliated with Bikers for Trump?
No, sir.
Okay.
All Cowboy members are only members of this organization. So we're all for Bikers for Trump supporting us and helping us, or any motorcycle organization for that matter. In fact, I have something that I would like to say to the 1%ers in the world, if you guys don't mind me taking the floor for a second on that.
Go ahead.
1%ers. I'm Cowboy Scout, the U.S. National President for Cowboys MC 3% Militia. In regards to all the 1% clubs around the country, we, the Cowboys MC, have nothing but the utmost respect for you. 1% clubs are full of patriotic Americans like us who don't want to see our nation fall from glory. All MCs are about brotherhood and have come together for their own reasons. Each one is a family that we choose to be a part of, that accepts us and gives us purpose. While every biker has their own reasons for joining their particular club, the U.S. Cowboys reason is because we took an oath that never expires, an oath that says we will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The enemy we face today are nothing more than domestic terrorists, animals that have no standards, no brotherhood, no morals, no protocols such as us in the MC community. Again, we have nothing but respect for each of you, despite some of the differences we have had in the past but given the current climate of the nation, We believe our purpose is becoming every patriotic American's purpose. The purpose is to not lose our freedom to a bunch of globalists and brainwashed jackasses who are trying to destroy our way of life. The future of your club's way of life as well. We have a select few 1% MCs ready to put aside differences and stand with us. We welcome all MCs to stand with us in protecting our nation, our states, our cities, our communities, our way of life. We must be united or we will lose our way of life. Leaders, feel free to reach out to me and let's work together to ensure our nation is safe. Our organizations will last for future generations to come to be a part of if we do this. Please contact me at cowboyscout.308@gmail.com and stand with us. I look forward to hearing from each of you. Questions?
Well, I think it's, yeah, go ahead. Did you want to say something else?
You guys got anything for us?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, we can now.
Okay, great. Yeah, if there's anything you want to say, jump in. I want you to have the floor. You have the stage. You can say everything and anything that you want. And if there's some audio, breakdown and you can't hear me, just go ahead and continue, talking. But I wanted to get first to give you guys respect, to give you guys the platform, the foundation. I think people would like to know what your military backgrounds are, what you can disclose. So if you can tell us the branch, the time, the service, what you did and how you evolved as a military person, your origination, that will help people get a very firm faith and trust in your capabilities. So if you can give us your individual background, military experience and origin, and how that colors your view and your training, go ahead.
So myself, I was a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout, well, hence the road name Scout, as well. And then I was also a small arms weapon artillery repairman, 91 Fox. I did 10 years, got hurt and had to get out. That's a little bit of my military background. I'm going to hand it to Wade. Wade, go ahead.
Okay. I started out in the military as 11 Bravo. 2001, I moved to the Special Forces in the U.S. Army. I'm currently still a member. I'm a weapons expert on the teams, and it's about all I can really tell you. I mean, I spent 2001 to president of SF. Blackjack.
My name is Blackjack, Cowboy Blackjack. I served in the United States Army in the European theater in Berlin, 1969, 1970, 71 through 74, in Vietnam and Cambodia. I'm a international provost, the head of all the chaplains, and this is a faith-based club. Every man that I have here with me today, I believe the majority of them have taken the Lord's table with me and confessed their faith in Jesus Christ. God had to have some place to put the people that would get born again and prosper and grow, and that gave birth to this nation. And we intend on standing up for that for the rest of the United States. And we just urge people to get in touch and join us and help us with this, because the Fifth Estate is hamstrung law enforcement and even the military because of public opinion. And it's going to take the American people standing up to bring this back in line. Thank you.
Blackjack. Oh, we're going to come to a break right now. We'll be back in a few minutes. This is Michael J. with Scott Bennett on Shell Games. Very good. We'll be right back.
5-minute break. 5-minute break.
Hey, try to get that audio fixed now. Break right now.
Okay.
Let's fix this audio.
Let's try to get this audio.
They got music playing, so
we're having a hard time hearing up here.
We can hear you, so you need to put your phone on mute during the break.
Somebody needs to address that.
Revolution freedomslips.com. We'll be right after this message.
Touch on that when the subject comes up.
Pyro, you want to talk?
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from
Can't elaborate very much on it.
over technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
All right.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning, warning.
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio. All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Scott Bennett and Michael G. on Shell Games, and we are continuing on Revolution Radio, and we have a special guest with us, the Cowboys MC, and people should go to their website to support them, pray for them, donate to them at www.cowboysmc.com, and we're going to continue with our discussion with them. And let me just first say, gentlemen, my father was in Vietnam, and the gentleman who was talking prior, the chaplain, I just wanted to share with that. My father was an aviator in the United States Marine Corps in Vietnam from 68 to 69 and flew F-8s, A-7s, A-4s. And, you know, it's a great heritage to have parents from the Vietnam era. So you're very rare. And the Vietnam veterans like Michael J. have enormous encyclopedic knowledge that this country is outlawing. This country seems to be obsessed with effeminizing our male population, by masculinizing the women in this country. Transgender sexual schizophrenia is a plague upon this country that is ruining our population, and it's all self-inflicted political and social suicide. But of course, present company excluded, we are standing up against all of that because it's a perverse, diabolical corruption of natural law, of God's creation. He made the man and woman. That's where families and marriages are, not in the perversion and the sickness and the wickedness that we see, like a black plague of death and leprosy spreading across this nation. And we're reaping what we've sown over 30, 40 years of destroying young people's minds with political correctness and gender studies and feminism that, and African American studies this, and schools no longer teach reading, writing, arithmetic, history, basic civics. We've lost it, and the churches are the reason that we've fallen down, because we've got effeminate pastors and weaklings and idiots who are claiming to be God's people, God's leaders in these pastoral roles, and they've done nothing to cultivate and strengthen men in their duties of manhood. And that's the reason this country has fallen down so badly, so quickly. But again, in a theological sense, God's in charge of time, and he's in charge of the destiny of men and nations. And I think we're witnessing a political social mitosis, a separation in this country from the madmen, the crazies, the lunatics who, like Nebuchadnezzar, went out into the field and ate grass for 7 years. I think we're witnessing madness in a segment of the population that will only get worse and worse and worse. They're not going to get better. They're going to go crazy. They're going to kill themselves, shoot themselves, defecate in the streets, and do animalistic things as they're turned over to evil. And those of us who aren't are going to shine brighter and saltier as the days go on. We don't abandon God. We don't abandon our morals or our Constitution or our country. This is our country. The Constitution is the law of the land. We swore an oath to defend it. We did not swear an oath to a politician, to a governor, to a Congress. We swore it to the Constitution. And we rest upon all of the rights. We affirm them all, and we waive none of them. And the Second Amendment and the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, go hand in hand. And you are an embodiment of that heroism that is rising up to defend it. So I wanted to just give you that encouragement that this is as Michael J. said, this is a spiritual war, a spiritual separation that we see happening. And it's calling us to be stronger and better. And I think more and more people are going to have to choose a side. And they're seeing on one side the lunatics that are tearing down statues, the white Antifa crazies who don't know if they're a boy or a girl or something in between, or on Adderall or all sorts of pharmacological delusions. These people are lost and gone, and they're scaring the hell out of the rest of the society that's saying, I either die into this septic pool of madness, or I choose Donald Trump, who will do the opposite of what they do. Protect the statues, protect our property, protect our women and family and children, and protect us from this lunacy of wearing masks 24/7 and all of these other things that are designed to control people. The country could be breaking up into regional civil war environments because of all of this. So I'm going to hand it back to you, Cowboys, and let you comment on what I've just said, if there are things that you want to talk about, and then feel free to jump into your continued presentation. Go ahead.
I'd like to be able to address what you're speaking about, the demasculation of the male population in America. That's the only way that they neutered us, and they continue to do it socially. They are blurring the lines between sexes. There's 3 places in the Bible that God brought judgment. And the most predominant activity in those 3 places at the time, each time, was male prostitution and homosexuality. Now, we're not a racist club. We're not a club out here to judge you, but we have these standards that we live by. We are here. One of the best explanations that I heard was on June 20th, downtown Tulsa, when Cowboy informed this man that confronted us that, no, we weren't there for Trump. We were there for everybody. We were there for him to say what he wanted to. And then he addressed Cowboy Wade, and Wade said, that's it. We're here so you can have your free speech also. And this guy literally, he was an agitator, but he literally came up and threw his arms around Cowboy Wade. Wolf. Was it Wolf? I'm sorry. And it was just a great understanding of who we are and what we are. And they're doing things to us. In 1962, Nikita Khrushchev stood at the podium, the UN, and took off his shoe and beat the podium and said, we will bury you. He told us he would do it through the schools. Schools are not educating anymore. They're indoctrinating. They're indoctrinating for a socialistic party. And all these things are out there. And I feel like there's so many people that don't know where to turn to become part of the solution instead of the problem. And we are here to be a solution to that problem.
Amen. I'd like to elaborate on the racist questions that we've been asked in the past. This club is absolutely not racist whatsoever. We have chapters worldwide. Okay, we have Latinos, Chinese, any race you can think of is in this club. Just want to make sure that everybody understands that. Your ethnic background does not make a difference with us. All right, it's what's in your heart and soul. So makes that very clear. There you go.
Amen. I'd also like to add that we've been accused of working for Blackwater or the GOP or something to that effect. I just want to state that each of us has our own political views, and I'm pretty sure most people are probably going to know that those are conservative views. However, as a club, we remain neutral, and we just stand behind the Constitution as a whole. That is what governs our organization and our country and what we wholeheartedly believe in. We're not affiliated with any government agency, Blackwater, any of this stuff that we've been accused of. We are simply Cowboys MC, a band of brothers who believes in what's right and is willing to go out and make a stand for the American people. We just need the American people to stand with us in support. Give us the intelligence, give us the locations of where stuff's taking place so that we can have boots on the ground to put a stop to it. We're sick of seeing this happen within our nation. I think a lot of Americans are fed up. They don't have a voice. Let our voice be your voice. Help us. We will gladly go. We have a lot of members and we are growing. Since Tulsa, when that video was released, I've had at least 200 people contact me personally saying, awesome job, guys. How do I join? How do I support? So on and so forth. We want the entirety of the United States who are patriots to get with us, get behind us, and let's do this. Let's change things. It's not going to change if we don't make it change and we don't do something. Drastic times call for drastic measures. People need to get off your asses. If you can't do that, then help us some other way. We need help. Speaking of help, if you want to donate, we have a PayPal account set up. We are a nonprofit organization. You can go to Cowboys, or excuse me, go on PayPal, go to Cowboys Motorcycle Club at gmail.com and donate however much you feel donated. If every American just gave us $5, that would be tremendous. That would help us. We don't have to have $1 million in the bank, but we do need money to operate to make sure that our safety and our freedom is secured for future generations, and just for the personal safety of the people that are on the ground there. We're fine with people protesting as long as it's a peaceful protest. That's their right. Just like it's our right to carry a weapon, go down there and put a stop to it. That's what we want done. We want to stop put to this nonsense. We're tired of seeing our country destroyed. With that being said, Cowboy Saul has something to say.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen. My name's Cowboy Saw. I was in the United States Army, served overseas in Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom. And I came back, got out of the Army, got lost for a while, found this club, found a brotherhood. I love what they're doing. I'm sick of looking at the news every day, seeing this country, people burning stuff down. Then they want the government, us taxpayers, to rebuild their city. Kids as young as 5 and 6 years old taught that it's all right to be either a boy or girl of the opposite, a transgender. They're actually having transgender contests, beauty pageants and stuff like that. Society is destroying, a lot of people are destroying this country. I mean, I'm getting tired of seeing it. I can't turn the news on without getting sick to my stomach. And with this organization, I think we're going to do good things. We're going to get out there and help people, and they'll have a voice with us.
I just want to say something real quick. This is not just inside this country either. This war is going on overseas. We got Cowboys fighting in foreign countries right now against Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and all the fascists. We're focused right here, right now, on what's going on in our nation. I just want to put that out there. This is worldwide. This ain't just here in our borders. It's outside. Roger?
Roger that.
All right, you guys got any questions of us?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
This is Michael J. again. I'd like to find out what is involved in the recruiting process, how many states are now involved, how do people come into the program and get the necessary training. A lot of us have had military background.
I can elaborate on that a little bit.
Bravo.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that a little bit. We do have chapters across the nation. We have a lot of members. I won't disclose how many that we have, but we are willing to stand up more chapters as well. We have a few qualifications. You need to be a patriot. You need to own a motorcycle. You need to own a rifle and a sidearm, and you need to believe as we believe. That's all it takes to join our organization. If anyone is interested in joining that our organization, you can contact me personally at cowboyscout.308@gmail.com. It might take me a few days to get back to you because we've kind of been overwhelmed, but we'll gladly get back to you. And we'd love to see our organization grow with the right men. We're not just going to allow anybody into our club. We have standards. You have to meet those standards in order to be a part of our organization. However, we do have support clubs that are also militia as well. The rancheros and rancheras, which are both male and female militia members who may not ride or meet the criteria but are willing to stand with us. You don't even have to join one of those organizations. If you just come and stand by our side and support what we support and believe what we believe and do what's right ethically and morally, we'd be glad to have you help us as well.
Cowboy Scout, this is Michael J.
As far as training goes,
this is Michael J, brother. I want to ask you something because Scott and I are out here in the People's Republic of California. We believe most of our people in government are being financed by the Chinese Communist Party. They are traitors, and they've got all these gun regulations. What is it that you can offer us as far as an understanding about how to travel on a motorcycle with weapons? Can you say anything about that?
Well, as far as myself, I got a day bag on my bike. I broke my rifle down, put it in it, and hauled my butt to Tulsa the last time that it happened. You want to make it happen, you can make it happen. But we're not opposed to people giving us a van or some mode of transportation for me to send a team somewhere. We're a motorcycle club. That's our predominant source of transportation from getting to point A to point B. But if somebody's willing to help us, we could use a van with tack gear and everything else. Just like when we were at Tulsa, we had a truck down there. It was our QRF team, was filled with weapons and ammunition and plate carriers and so on and so forth. Medical supplies, aid bags. I mean, any of this stuff, people can help us with. So just because we're a motorcycle club doesn't necessarily mean that the mission has to be taking place on a motorcycle. But in my opinion, if you want to make it happen, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to allow John Carmen to jump on, too, who is former Secret Service. And, John, you've got connections and contacts that can be helpful to these guys in the San Diego and elsewhere. I'll let you jump in real quick. John Carmen, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, guys. I was in a military family up to about 18 to 20 years before I went straight into the Secret Service in 74, right after Nixon left. So I've got a military background, and I've got federal, state, and local law enforcement, Secret Service, San Diego PD, U.S. Mint in San Francisco, then U.S. Customs at the border, 15 years. And then I became a whistleblower because I exposed corruption and human trafficking within the agency. And even today, as late as the last 60 days, the Department of Justice is refusing to take action. So I'm very critical of the administration for what they're not doing. I know what goes on behind the scenes in very many special ways. And I protected Ford and Carter back at the White House from 74 to 77. So I also worked counterterrorism, people like Carlos the Jackal and Black September and all the other usual groups. So I'm offering my services off the air when we get a chance to talk. I just got a hold of that email. And then we'll set up some sort of communication so we could talk about, state, local, federal law enforcement procedures and things like that most people wouldn't know what to do. But it ties in with what we all need to do as Americans, because things are happening the way they are. They're falling apart, and people need to take action. And I was impressed with that comment by one of the other gentlemen. I'm sorry, I forget your names, from the Cowboys, is that local law enforcement in that particular area basically said their hands are tied to have fun, which means they were allowing you to do what you had to do to defend yourself. Antifa groups are not trained the way we are, and Absolutely. They in particular are hoping to scare people. Maybe they'll fall on their own sword. That's their problem. But that's the whole idea, is let them fall on their sword. Let us pick up the pieces and try to fix America the best way we can, because Congress is compromised, so's the Senate, and it's even as close as the White House. And I'm telling Absolutely. You that from my own intel. So, and
if I could say one thing on that, this is how I feel. I feel like the Democrats are supporting all this, which we all know that they are. This is from the deep state. However, I don't feel that the Republicans are doing enough to stop what's going on. So I want to see action from the president. I'm calling him out as well. He needs to act. He needs to do something. Sitting on your hands is unacceptable in my eyes.
No, you're right on target.
Are being hurt and victimized. Yeah, all these Republicans and their Democratic or their agendas, their special agendas. They need to put their own agendas aside and look out for what's best for the American people. And what's best for the American people is to stand united, not divided. We are totally against racism, systemic racism, persecution even if we don't agree with their way of life, they still are American citizens and have the freedom to do so. But you don't have the freedom to destroy our country and erase history and throw your temper tantrums. We're done with it. And I think the American people's done with it. And I wish the president would be done with it. He needs to do something more. And everyone in the House, Senate, Congress, whatever branch of government, everyone who voted Democrat, you're getting what you voted for. You need to really think about who you're going to vote for when you go to the polls this election year. But regardless of who wins the election, things are going to get worse before they get better. We have to make a stand as the American people. We're seeing the cops defunded, demonized, villainized. I'd watched a video the other day of two cops who got, I think it was from Florida, who got jumped and beat up by a mob of people. No one has respect for law enforcement anymore, or respect for our flag. Our flag is being desecrated. Why is this happening within our own country? That's not freedom of speech. That's treason. We are totally against tyrants and treason. If you burn a flag, you should be hung. We're tired of seeing this happen. America needs to wake up and take a stand. The president needs to wake up and make a stand. Cowboys MC is ready to make that stand. We need everyone's support, to include all motorcycle clubs, anybody who's American patriot, to stand with us. If we don't rise up and do something, we've lost our nation. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not cool with that. It ain't happening on my watch. And I will do everything that I can. I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees for one day.
Amen. Hey, I'll second that.
Hey,
Scott, can I add one more thing here to his statement?
Quick, go ahead.
Was it with all the information I've been collecting, I've been bugging Trump, the White House, criticizing AG Barr, William P. Barr for not doing his job. There's over 150 to 200,000 sealed indictments with big D's after their names spread out all over the country, and they're still sitting on these indictments collecting dust when they should be arresting people like this recent Ghislaine Maxwell case, for instance. There's all kinds of things going on. This is a cover. All this other stuff is a cover for what's really going on. And that's my expertise. I'm looking beyond that so I can expose what's happening. People don't get it.
Order out of chaos is what they want. Order out of chaos. They want one world government. And they're using puppets to do so.
Exactly.
You know, before we come up to the break in about 5 minutes or so, I wanted David Kinney to have a chance to weigh in on this. David is an attorney, and he is very, very good and smart in a lot of these ways, and can be very, very helpful on understanding some of the legal complexities and such. And of course, he's not giving any legal advice, but he is just talking and speaking his mind. So, David, we've got a group of wonderful Americans that are reflecting everything that we believe and have said in our values and our vision for America, and the fights that we see being forced to us. We are not seeking out fights. They're coming to us, but we have the legal constitutional right to defend ourselves using the Second Amendment and such. As your experience and your knowledge, and as an attorney, what can you share with these gentlemen, the things to be careful about, the things to be aggressive about, and anything else? Go ahead, David, and we'll continue after the break as well. Go ahead, David Kinney. Yeah, and your microphone's on mute. There you go. Good go.
Thank you. First off, the gentleman who just stood up and said it's not going to happen on my watch, I agree with you. Okay. It's not going to happen on my watch as a citizen of the United States. Let me tell you guys what I believe is happening. Okay. It is the Islamists have gone into, made some type of an agreement with the Marxists, and they're, I believe, engaged in a fundamental assault on the United States. In addition, I believe that China has entered into agreements with the Republic of Mexico, and kind of like the Zimmerman letter back in World War I, that they've cut an agreement that the southwestern part of the United States will be returned to Mexico. Now, that's not being, no one's saying that anywhere, but I believe that's what's taking place. Thirdly, the incremental, inch by inch, step by step, constitutional incursions that are taking place are to such an extent that they're affecting and impacting the lives of families, the lives of friends, the lives of brothers and sisters. I mean, everybody in the United States, and it's gotten out of hand. Now, the Democrats in the cities of Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, back in New York, up in the states of Michigan and Wisconsin. I mean, these are coordinated efforts. If you take a look at some of the efforts taking place, China has what is called a Belt and Road Initiative, and their objective is before 2025 to put the Belt and Road Initiative in place, which is super infrastructure for the entire world. And what we're seeing is that incremental step taking place, day by day, inch by inch, and now it's been accelerated to mobs on the street. So what we're looking at is a complete assault, I believe, on the American nation, and it's our duty to respond.
Absolutely.
And I think if you neglect that duty, you're doing yourself a disservice. And if you fail to act, you're allowing the treason and the insurrection to take place.
We're coming up to a break. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Stay with us and have your microphones on mute during the break. See you in 5 minutes. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message.
Many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
The future is uncertain. I know this. Death is inevitable. I know this. But one thing is certain. As free men, it is our right to live unencumbered and in peace. And those times are quickly drawing to an end. And in these times, peace is certainly an illusion. And as the chains grow tighter, our ability to slip those chains increase incrementally with every passing moment. Inaction is no longer an option. It's time to raise our voices like a cacophony of thunder and lightning and tell the masters no more. And this is Nighthawk, and I say, for myself, no more. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, because the freedom is slipping away.
Galactic Interstellar Council on Revolution Radio Studio A, Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Join us as we traverse the starseed paradigm, as expressed in the time-space continuum that we know as the divine expression of love and light. Integrating this conscious unity into the galactic paradigm. So welcome all, both terrestrial beings and galactic beings as one. So be it. You're listening to Revolution Radio.
Be evasive, but that doesn't mean that they're telling the truth as opposed to fiction.
And Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, and there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came and unto the daughters of men, indicating that there were giants before the Nephilim.
And sons of God, plural. They weren't talking about Jesus coming down.
No, that's right. Yeah.
I'm Steve Crawford, host of Factor Theory Live. Join me every Sunday night from 10 p.m. till midnight Eastern Standard Time on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Check it out.
All right. Thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Scott Bennett and Michael J. on Shell Games, and we're joined by our special guests, the Cowboys MC. They are a group of former military patriots who are rising up to answer the call that we've all been sounding for some time now. We've answered the call. We've stood up. We've been thrashing about. We've been aggressively looking for camaraderie, brotherhood, teamwork of like-minded people to go up and make a stand and defend our country, our heritage, to stop those who are lobotomizing our culture by tearing down our statues, to vomit out the lukewarm weaklings and halfwits in the American churches and in many of the political circles that have been poisoning our population, and also the effeminate beta males who send us to war but never go themselves, like John Bolton and many, many of these other clowns. Only men who've been in war and been in the military really understand and appreciate peace and are really lovers of diplomacy and communication and understand influence operations. And we have these men with us today. So it's an honor to continue the discussion for the next hour with Cowboys MC. And David Kitty, before I want to hand it to Michael J. to give him a chance to set us up and open up for the tone for the next hour, I wanted to give you, David Kitty, some moments to finish your thoughts. And being an attorney, you have some good experience that maybe these gentlemen and their organization need to be aware of. How do they protect themselves? What are the instrumentalities? What are the maneuvers? What are the foundational legal principles that they can stand upon and utilize in defending themselves, in expanding themselves, and being able to train? And what else do they need to know to understand to be successful? Go ahead, David Kinney.
Sure. I think two things. I think one is, first off, I think everybody should carry 2.5 ounces of bear spray on their person at all times. 2.5 ounces of bear spray. That's in California. That's the amount that you can carry. If you're in areas where there are bears or coyotes or mountain lions, you can carry up to 9 ounces. Okay, I'm just telling you the law, man. You know what I mean? The other thing is, so I would recommend having bear spray on your person virtually 24 hours a day, especially the way things are taking place out there.
Yes.
Secondly, if you're going to transport or carry weapons, do so legally. Okay, absolutely. Follow the law.
Absolutely.
You know, that's got to be. You know, you have to follow the law.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. The other thing is that, there's defense of self, defense of others, defense of property. Okay. And you're able to respond to that with essentially equivalent force. Okay. So if someone's trying to take someone's life, you can defend another person, and you can use life-threatening defensive measures. But you cannot advance them. You cannot initiate. You have to be responsive. It's the rules of engagement. Correct. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. As far as organizing, if you're going to organize peacefully, cautiously, securely. Keep your communications clean. Talk to your friends clean, because people are going to be listening. Those are the days that we're in now. So what I would recommend is that, you just live lawfully and be prepared.
Absolutely. We 100% operate underneath the Constitution and the laws of the land. So if a state says that we're not allowed to have a firearm in it, I don't think we're going to be going into that state. I don't want any of my guys breaking the law or going to jail. The only time that we're going to react to contact is if it's initiated by the enemy first, and it's a defense type scenario, or we're helping somebody who's helpless. That's what we're about, is standing up for the little guy who doesn't not able to stand for himself, protecting businesses, so on and so forth. But we're not going to do. The Cowboys MC is not going to do anything illegal, immoral, or unethical. We don't believe in that. We believe in what's right and what's moral and what's true. We are patriots. We're constitutionalists. So, yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. Everything does need to be done within the law. Most of my members are concealed carry, licensed concealed carry holders. So they've been qualified. They've been vetted, so on and so forth. Those that are not, we're working on getting them that way. But one thing that, I would like to ask is, insurance coverage. If somebody wants to support us, like with a company like USCCA, who insures their carriers, I've got guys. We're willing to go out and do something to help the American people. But as we all know, the media is turning everything around. If you stand for what's right, it's fun. That you're now the bad guy. You're the villain. Look at what happened to the McCloskeys, I believe, in St. Louis. How they went out. The protesters were trespassing on their property in a private neighborhood. Yeah, they could use some weapons training for sure, but they did what was right. They went out and protected themselves. They didn't use any kind of force. They just made a stand, and that's what needs to take place. Everyone needs to make a stand, but to be doing it within the laws of the land or the rules of engagement when it comes down to it. Because I think one of these days here in the near future, it's going to end up being the rules of engagement, the way that the nation's going.
Most definitely.
I concur. I think it's could be imminent. Look, it's let me say something else, gentlemen, which is now is the time to identify generals, captains. That's critical.
Absolutely.
They are organized. The offense is organized.
Yeah, we have a rank structure, but we're asking for veterans who ride and meet the criteria of our club to come forward, contact us, and join us and become part of our brotherhood. And like I said before, if you don't ride and you don't meet the criteria and you are just passionate about America, we're asking them to stand with us as well. But yes, the Cowboys MC is run like a military organization. We have a rank structure, we have a chain of command, and we do follow UCMJ. So
and Geneva Convention rules.
And Geneva Convention as well. Do you want to elaborate on any of that, Wade?
I think you just covered it.
Okay.
If you're talking about our organization, now if you're talking about Antifa Black Lives Matter leadership,
right?
I'm talking hard to hear you a while ago. Are you talking about Black Lives Matter and Antifa leadership?
I believe Antifa, they just arrested that guy Charter. I think that they're going to end up getting a lot of information from his phones. We'll see if it comes up imminently, but I think you're going to find a lot of information coming out very quickly over the look. They arrested Ghislaine Maxwell. My understanding is that there are more arrests taking place. I'm hoping, like you guys, that they're blowing the dust off those indictments and that the Department of Justice gets expeditious about this. Otherwise, we're going to be facing an invasion from the South, an invasion from the West, and it is coming. In my opinion, it's coming.
We're watching that close.
Yeah, and we would encourage anyone with any intelligence about any type of thing to act on it and move on it and send us that intelligence and let us know what's going on in your local community. If I have a chapter of men in your community or next or close to you and I can get them there, especially if I'm given ample time, I will gladly get my men saddled up and have them there. But I need that information. I personally, I can't be everywhere. Neither can these men that are sitting here. But for every one of us that's sitting here, there's 10 more of us that wear this cut. And then there's more behind that support us.
Yeah.
That's all I need to say about that.
Right. I remember that. I remember the great line, "It's just me, but there's 10,000 guys behind me."
Let me bring Michael J. in. Michael J., I wanted to make some comments to the gentleman, but I want to bring you in first to get your feedback and set your tone on what where we're going and what your perspective is so far. Go ahead, Michael J.
When Lavoy Finicum was murdered, somebody commenting, going to that funeral, and many of them were Cowboys, they went to his funeral and they said one man was murdered, but 10 million people were woken up. And this is what's happening. I believe President Trump was put in office because Americans started turning back to God and praying. We didn't want that vicious pedophile witch in the White House. We didn't want her pedophile husband in the White House. And many people are understanding now that the abomination that was Barack Obama was, quote, married to a transgender named Michael LaVaughn Robinson. And it seems like the deep state Democrats want to maybe get rid of Joe Biden and give people an opportunity to vote for Michelle Obama, a.k.a. a transgender, sociopathic, antichrist monster pretending to be a woman. We've got a nation that is filled with people that have been turning to Satan because the churches are not teaching people how to turn to God. They want to teach them how to be religious. They want to teach them how to have a Christian philosophy, but they're not introducing them to the Lord Jesus himself and teaching them how to receive the power of the Holy Spirit in their lives. 2 Chronicles 7:14 addresses this amazing situation we're in, where God said by Solomon, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. People need to come out of their counterfeit churches and start getting involved with small groups of people who also love God and who don't want to have just a form of godliness, but want to be a part of the standard that God will raise up in America, because he has promised when the enemy comes in like a flood of filthy water, the Lord will raise up a standard against him. And America needs to turn back to God. That's what I'm sharing with everyone who wants to be a part of the answer. We can't have a political solution to a spiritual problem. Over to you.
Yeah, gentlemen, if you'd like to comment or respond to Michael J's comments, please feel free to go ahead before I bring in some of the other subjects. Go ahead.
I heard most of it. The answer to the whole thing is in the first scripture you used. If my people, those that call themselves by my name, that's the answer right there. People tell it, we have so much church put in us. Men have taken the Bible behind the walls of a university and came back out and told us what God meant to say. No, he said what he meant, and he meant what he said. And it's basically pretty simple. If you read it daily, you get the spirit of the thing, and you understand what words are used for and what they're producing in your life. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was God. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. So it's Him. The Word is Him. And it's just the religiosity that's coming out of the churches is part of this entire program. There's a biggest lie that we're being told is that we're all brothers. There's two families on this planet. There's those that are saved and those that aren't.
Amen.
Now that doesn't sound like a very fair deal, but it is the way it is. You've got to get in the Word. You've got to accept Jesus Christ. If those people, that my people that are called by my name, will pray, humble themselves and pray, and that's what needs to happen. This club's born out of that kind of prayer.
Very, very true, very encouraging, and I agree with you 100%. And Scripture, of course, is our sword. We are to wear the helmet of salvation, the sword of truth, our feet shod with the gospel, the shield of faith, and rest upon the promises that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise up against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. And I shall give thee a tongue thine enemies cannot gainsay nor resist. We are the blessed apple of our Father in heaven's eye, and he has trained us and given us our skills and our experience in military capacities and patriotic upbringing, and he's calling us to this time unlike ever before. And these could be the last times, however that long that is. But we are I don't know why the internet's going all funky right now. If Mitch, you're on there doing something, but it's getting funky. But let me just say this: what I'm hearing when you were talking, gentlemen, I wanted to suggest some things you probably already thought about, but let me just get it out so it's on paper. The fronts to jump in, right? The fronts to jump in or to begin to think about and secure, to advance upon. Those are the political front, politicians in federal Congress, in state Congress, to secure their alliances, their support, their business cards, so that If there's ever a jam, if there's ever something requiring political influence or diplomatic activity, we want those people in the political offices to stand with us, not just give us lip service, but actually to stand side by side and in front to do great things. So the political front is important. The media front is important. Tucker Carlson, Hannity, Laura Ingraham, they seem to be good. We need to secure the media to ally and elevate your group and your mission. And the military organizations as well, the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and any of the other retirement sort of organizations for soldiers when they get back, those are potential ample recruiting posts, and they should be having you come as speakers. And I think that's important to begin to really recognize your words are powerful and your speaking is needed to sow the seed, right? To let faith cometh by hearing, hearing by the word of God. So getting you out to speak at VFW groups, as well as the youth military groups like Civil Air Patrol, the Devil Dogs, the Sea Cadets, these youthful organizations that are paramilitary in a sense. I was in the Civil Air Patrol many years before I went into the Army, and it was the best place that a young man could be. And there's nothing more important to a young 14 to 18-year-old than having men of character such as yourselves come and speak and talk, and to encourage the youth that this is the way, walk ye in it. Patriotism is noble, it's an honor. Battle is required to defend your freedom and rights and liberties sometimes. But men of your caliber coming into the youth is an incredibly nourishing and inspiring thing to a young man. So the youth organizations need to be tapped and spoken with and mixed with, as well as, of course, the churches. And I know the effeminacy and the failure of many of them, and this is sort of a check on them. But there are, of course, people in the churches that will support you, that will donate, that will pray, that will hear their voice. You know, his sheep will hear his voice and come. And, of course, the business communities and donating and such, and the businesses in the local areas to know that you're there to protect them. And I'll end with, finally, the colleges and the universities. The colleges and universities around where your members are great places to go and speak, to give a presentation, a half hour length or an hour length, whatever, just to articulate your military background and your training and your love of country and patriotism is calling you to stand up and defend statues and liberties and freedoms. And you're standing up in opposition to this violent mob, this fascist impulse, and you're not apologizing, you're not retreating, you're not engaging in silly semantical arguments about racial injustice or all this other stuff. All that's out the window. You're there discussing and protecting the Constitution, property, well-being. And you're looking for like-minded Americans to come alongside you. We don't care about those who are against us. They're against us. They're the targets of opportunity. They're the ones, if they pick a fight, we know who wins and who gets wheelbarrowed out. But we're looking for those people who are listening and looking for leaders, who are listening and hungry for the word that's coming from yourselves, because you are the igniting spark that will ignite their lamp. Right now, they're just a wet oil lamp waiting for a fiery ignition to illuminate their souls and to come alive. So I just wanted to give you those subjects, those fronts, those directives to target, which is the political arena, the media arena, the military organization arenas, the youth groups, Civil Air Patrol, Boy Scouts, such as that, as well as the churches, the businesses, and the college and the universities. And David Kinney, I think you wanted to jump in. If there's anything you guys want to respond to what I said, feel free. Otherwise, David Kinney, jump in. Go ahead.
Okay, I see one of your guys is taking notes there. All right, I'm going to give you some things that need protection. Think about the infrastructure of the United States. The chemical industry needs protection. Commercial facilities need protection. Critical manufacturing needs protection. Dams need protection. The defense industrial base, the defense industry needs protection. Emergency services needs protection. Energy. The financial services need protection. Very importantly, food and agricultural need protection. Government facilities. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, I feel like the enemy that we face is nothing more than a domestic terrorist threat. But even if, let's just say for sake of laughter here, that the far left and these lunatics got what they wanted. Okay, we know what's coming in directly behind them. Islamic extremism. The Islamic extremists are sitting back laughing right now at America and watching it unfold and probably funding it in some capacity.
Oh, no question about it.
I'm sorry?
No question about that.
Absolutely. But, if we don't make a stand now against this group of domestic terrorists, we're going to end up with a whole nother issue of terrorism on American soil. So all these companies and everything that you just named off, these are all great resources to protect. But it starts in communities standing up and doing what's right and making a stand against these domestic terrorists. And it starts with the politicians pulling their head out of their butt and actually doing something and passing some legislation and some laws that hold people accountable for their actions. That's what we want to see. We're tired of seeing innocent people victimized by domestic terrorists. This ain't about race. It's not about the color of anybody's skin anymore. It's been over 30 days since George Floyd passed away. And let me just say this, that was an injustice for that man. That cop made himself judge, jury, and executioner of that guy. So anybody thinking that we're on the side of law enforcement, we're on the side of what's right. That guy was wrongfully killed. We believe that. But cops are also wrongly being persecuted. There was a cop down in Alabama, I believe it is, that's being charged with felony murder when the guy tried to take his taser away from him. The media is so one-sided. If it doesn't fit their agenda, they manipulate it or don't show it or whatever. What used to be right in this country is now wrong, and what used to be wrong is now right. We're sick of seeing it. Let's call it like it is.
All right. I'm just telling you I'm telling you where they're going to attack.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Information technology, nuclear reactors, materials and waste. They're going to hit transportation and wastewater systems. Be prepared. When those things start going haywire, we are in a full-out war.
Absolutely, because if they break down our critical infrastructure, what do we have? We have chaos. And what do they want? They want order out of chaos. They want a cashless system. They want to microchip all of us. We all know what that microchip is. That's the mark of the beast. Yeah. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to stand for it. Period.
One of the other things I wanted to say in recruitment and support is the minority immigrants that have come to this country. David Kinney and myself and Michael J. and others have been working on a group, Melting Pot Patriots, and do a program on Revolution Radio about it. And specifically, there are immigrants that have come into the United States from India, from Vietnam, from China, and from elsewhere. But the Hindus and the Sikhs and the Asians, these are people that are enormously productive, entrepreneurial, independent, traditional family values people. They may not know Jesus Christ yet, but they know his natural law. They know marriage is between a man and a woman, and sexuality is a pure, holy spiritual bonding. They know family and grandparents and children are the nucleus of humanity. and they know that it is business and entrepreneurship from which wealth and life, spawns, and that the Second Amendment and the Constitution are there to protect them. They're conservative folks. And yet the Democrats, of course, and the leftists and the liberals have said the white man is the enemy to everybody. And we have to go out and recruit those people and say, you have a duty to stand with us and defend this country. And I think they would light up like a Christmas tree and join your side. Stay with us. Coming up to a 5-minute break. We'll be right back.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Hi, everybody. It's me, the Fetch, host of Inside the Eye Live. Before the Sunday mainstream media political pundit talk shows, there is Inside the Eye Live, where we break down some of the weekly mainstream media talking points before the talking points even get aired. Add in some entertaining stories, weather, cats, intriguing and informative guests, and you get one of the most listened to Saturday morning streaming media political talk shows going today. And it's all right here on our flagship station, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. So join me, the Fetch, for Inside the Eye Live every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern. It is truly intelligent media for the politically aware.
Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat asses, eating and drink themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Not me. Get it done.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com.
It is no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Ott every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why The Story Behind the Story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Shell Games on Revolution Radio, and we have our special guest, the Cowboys MC, and we were just talking before the break about the melting pot patriots and those people who've come from India and Vietnam and China, the Asians, those who are very productive but have been told by the Democrat liberal leftists that all white people hate them and that they have to be Democrats in order to survive, and all of that is a lie from the pit of hell. But I think they're waking up when they see nothing but white kids tearing down statues and engaging in this animalistic behavior. And the Chinese, the Asians actually have a term for cultures and people that behave with a a self-inflicted suicide, hating their own ethnicity, their own identity. It's called Baizawa. And the Asians are labeling Americans as Baizawa, which is you hate your own race, you hate yourself. And you see that everywhere with these foolish little imbeciles wearing Black Lives Matter shirts and raising their fists and calling everybody who's white a bigot. They're actually projecting their own madness, and I personally believe they're roadkill. These people are beyond help, and we shouldn't waste any time trying to convert them or addressing them. Even though they're schizophrenic, they've come from broken homes, many of them. They're confused. They've been fed poison with the educational system. They're a ruined generation. Our hope in numbers has to be with the new immigrants that have come to this country to stand with us. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And they have to be aggressively, gone out and contacted and said, look, we have to stand together or we will fall. And the forces that are out there, the small, tiny percentage that is lighting the fires, doing the riots, doing all the destruction, these people need to be set to flight. They need to be defeated absolutely and uncompromisingly. And we have to do it as a nation of patriots. So I'll stop there and hand it back to you to say, is there anything that you guys are doing to outreach to some of these minority groups and such, so that you build the ethnic diversities into your groups and memberships, and perhaps there are different branches in some of the more ethnic neighborhoods that can emerge. Go ahead.
Yes, we're doing meet and greets everywhere we go. I know here locally we got a lot of support from the people from India, that entrepreneurs that's come here and set up businesses. Ohio, our brother Wolf up there, he does a lot of meet and greets, breaking the bread with other races and people from other countries. Hearts and minds, that's what it's all about. And
let me add to this. So, with the current climate in America, I think everybody can see what's going on in these Democrat-led states and everything else. Obviously, the Democrats aren't for these people's freedom and whatever. They just want their vote. They're gonna cater to them, tell them whatever they want to hear, but behind closed doors, they're not going to stand for them. Look at a prime example of that is Chad's in Seattle. What kind of ridiculous nonsense is the mayor and the governor allow to happen in that city? All right, if you're an American citizen, you have constitutional rights. All right, but you don't have any God-given rights. But you have no right to destroy anything. You've got no right to hurt the innocent or whatever. So yes, we do want more diversity in our club. We've been labeled as racist. We're not racist at all. But like I said before, there are certain criteria you have to meet in order to join our club. You have to have a motorcycle, weapons, so on and so forth, veteran status. You can't be a felon, so on and so forth. So some of the people that have approached us are of other ethnicities, but we still have standards as an organization. We welcome anybody of any color. If you're an American or not an American, we have chapters around the world. We'd gladly have people with the like mindset who meet our standards to come in and join our organization. And if they don't want to join our organization, if they just support our organization, but I'll tell you this though, the reaction that we got from the left and the Democrats and so on and so forth when we went down to Tulsa, and the comments on social media and everything else, all the negative stuff, just so they know, that's little trophies for Cowboys MC. Because if we ticked you off enough that you had to say something, you went out of your way to say something how you didn't like it, we love that. We feed off that. We want to piss you off. We did our jobs. We're standing up for what's right. So keep them coming. You're going to keep us fired up and all my brothers fired up.
Well, let me ask you then, how do you support your organization?
Right now, we're self-sufficient. We have dues that members pay monthly, and part of that goes to the chapter, part of that goes to national to run our organization. Every dollar that's spent is voted on, and we have the account set up now. and we're a 501c3. And anything anybody wants to give us to help support us, I can assure the American people that your money will not be wasted. We are not going to spend a dime without talking about it first and going forward to help the nation with every dime that's donated or any help that anyone gives us. So right now, yes, we're self-sufficient. That's part of our dilemma, is we can't be anywhere. Cowboys have three nice things. We got a nice cut, we got a nice motorcycle, and we got nice firearms. Other than that, we don't have much that's nice. We need help. Wars take money, and we're at war with domestic terrorists. So let's just face the fact, this is an information war. This is a war against terrorism, and this is a war for the future of our country. So anybody who's willing to go to war with us in any capacity, we welcome you by our side.
Let me ask you, where do you, if someone wanted to contribute to the Cowboys MC, where would they send the dough?
Okay, so we created a PayPal account, and you can go to Cowboys Motorcycle Club at gmail.com through PayPal and pay through that, or donate through that. But we don't just want money. You know, we're not begging for a handout. We're asking for support. But like I said earlier, we need other resources as well. You know, we need TAC gear, we need radios, we need pepper spray, vehicles, attorneys, any resource or skill set that somebody can offer us and help us. That's what we need. We need the American people behind us. That's what we need.
Yeah, and I think they are. I think Revolution Radio, of course, and our program in particular is happy to ally with you and provide a platform for updates, for information operation, coordination, for just intelligence analysis of what is on the ground. Where is the human intelligence coming out? Where are the targets? Where are the uprisings occurring? Where are these hotspots of the domestic terrorism? Where are the safe zones? Where are the regions of safety that people can go to and align? Because I seriously think America is witnessing an exodus in certain ways, where good people with families are recognizing that the country is going through some traumatic shakes and shudders, and it requires a lot of mobility and movement out of the epicenters of death and destruction of madness into safer communities where you don't have to worry about your neighbor. You don't have to worry about mobs coming into town, because you've got men and women willing to stand up against these mobs. So there's a geographic reorganization of American society that's happening. And I think it's important to maintain these lines of communication for people to understand where the safe zones are, and also where the enemy is advancing. And I'll hand it back to you. How do you see this war unfolding over the next? And it is a civil war as far as I'm concerned. But how do you see this unfolding between now and Election Day, and then after Election Day, if we have Donald Trump get reelected? How does it unfold? And let's also play the part of, God forbid, Joe Biden was elected, or if Joe Biden's assassinated, which I personally think they're going to try and do. I think they are going to try and assassinate him, and then after that install Michelle Obama or someone else, because he's such a weak person. But let's play out the scenarios between now and Election Day. What happens when Trump is elected? What happens after that? Or if Biden or someone else, Democrat, is elected, what happens? Which I think would be an all-out civil war. I don't think anybody would accept the Democrats in there. But I'll hand it back to you, gentlemen, and let you comment. How do you see things unfolding? Go ahead.
Well, first off, their Democratic candidate is nothing more than a puppet, and that's pretty obvious based on the things that man says and does. There's no telling what kind of corruption that guy is involved in. So I don't disagree with your statement on somebody trying to assassinate him or something to that effect. We don't know what the future holds, and that's the thing. We just see things getting worse by the day. We went from a pandemic where everyone is on lockdown to, barely getting things open, to mass chaos and hysteria in the streets. What's it been, about 30, 45 days since things started opening back up from COVID? And in that time period from lockdown, which I personally believe was partly a hoax too, we've seen mass hysteria. It's getting worse by the day. We're getting intelligence, and we're seeing things that's sent to us and given to us about what's going on around the nation. If we don't make a stand now, then there's no telling what we're going to be dealing with come election day. If Americans don't rise up and vote and stop this nonsense and let their voice be heard through their vote, then there's definitely no telling what's going to happen after the election. I think either outcome at the election or after the election is going to be catastrophic for the nation. Because if Trump wins or Joe Jorgensen wins, the crazy people that are running the streets and doing this chaos right now are just going to continue to do so and throw their little temper tantrums. And if I don't know, there's just no knowing what the future holds for our nation. All we can do is stand up right now and say we've had enough. We're fed up. Let's put a stop to it before it gets worse. Innocent people are being hurt. Cops are being victimized. Like I said before, what used to be wrong is now right, and what used to be right is now wrong. If people don't make a stand and put our foot down and quit sitting behind the keyboard doing nothing, then we're just going to see the same stuff continue to happen. America has to rise up, whether we want to or not. You have to do something. Pick a side. There is a line drawn in the sand right now. You're either on Team America or you're not.
I agree. I totally agree.
I wanted to bring Michael J. back in. Michael J., you have seen a lot that going on in America and the transformation of the America, and we were talking about how things are going to evolve and between now and Election Day and then afterwards. What sort of insight can you give the gentleman here? What's on your mind? Go ahead.
I appreciate that, Scott. I think that people need to begin to do as the Cowboys are suggesting, and that is find veterans in their area, get an understanding with them about what's really at stake here. Something happens, and something happened in our lives, each of us, when we took an oath and we began to learn how to lay our lives down for one another. And those of us that were in combat situations understand things in a different way than most civilians. So it's important for people to realize that being a veteran doesn't come home. I mean, I got thanks for your service, but I got drafted, okay? The reality, it was a false flag war. The Gulf Wars, both of them were set up by the New World Order. Veterans have been betrayed. And this issue of veterans getting together is very important, because I believe personally that veterans are able to be there for each other in a way that can bring necessary healing. I know some people that have been involved with respect to the VA, and they're on drugs for 40 some years because they don't know how to deal with PTSD, and they don't know how to tell themselves that we were betrayed because the Gulf of Tonkin never happened any more than the Arabs took some box cutters and brought down the Twin Towers with planes, and that those Twin Towers were designed to resist planes, and you can't use kerosene jet fuel to burn and melt steel because it just isn't hot enough. So the issue for us is this: Americans need to understand that veterans are a very important resource, and we have perspectives that go back decades. And our perspective is this: we want people to understand that veterans right now have the ability and the training and the courage to be there and to organize small man teams like 3- and 4-man fire teams for residents and neighborhood protection. And we need to encourage one another, because you're not going to get encouragement from people who are not veterans. We need to be there for veterans. We need to encourage one another to realize that when we took that oath, it was before God, and we have never rescinded our oath either, and we never will. Over to you, Cowboys.
Yeah,
if I could address that veteran suicide issue right fast. I would encourage any veteran. I mean, we've all been, everybody sitting here at this table and around this room that you don't see, there's a bunch of us here today. The majority of us are combat veterans. We know about, what's going on in the veteran community. That's partly why Cowboys MC exists. We're a brotherhood. This club gives us a sense of purpose, a family. Because once you leave the service, you don't have that anymore. So I encourage anybody who's a veteran and contemplating suicide. I just want to say that life ain't that bad, man. And there's brothers here that will gladly have your back and welcome you into our organization and stand with you the same way you would stand with us. So, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Thank you.
But we have a huge problem within the United States right now that could end up being a potentially permanent problem if we don't get some support and some help. And we will gladly support and help you in your time of need.
I would just suggest too, to the organizational development and growth, one thought might be to possibly entertain a branch of your group. Since it's the motorcycle club, you may want to create a branch or a separate sort of wing that says, for those veterans who are handicapped and unable to ride, you can still have the Cowboys Motorcycle Club off-road vehicle section, or some
absolutely.
cars.
And we have 2 support organizations. Well, more than that, didn't it?
Yeah, it's 4 total.
We have 4 total support organizations. Some of those are female, some of those are male, but you don't have to meet any certain criteria that I'm aware of. Is there for those organizations? Why don't you elaborate on that, Wade?
Rancheros and Rancheras, that was set up just for the kind of individuals that you're talking about. People handicapped, disabilities, can't meet the criteria as a cowboy. We also have a support club we call Ringo Crew, and for females, Sisters 4. Now, they're the ones that we're looking at closely on the males to be future cowboys. Okay, they have to meet quite a bit more criteria than the Rancheros and Rancheras. But to answer your question, yes, we have that already established for those folks that have handicaps and disabilities.
Yeah. And, the opportunity presents itself now like never before to ingratiate yourselves and influence the police, the local police, the sheriffs, because they are being attacked, they are under siege, they are being abused, and many of the police have never served in the military, and so they are a little bit more susceptible to the psychological traumas that are inflicted upon them by these lunatic Antifa left-wing fringe groups. The military guys can kind of shrug it off. We know what it sounds like to be fired at and all the rest of that. But the police don't quite have all those nuts and bolts tightened down. They're a little bit looser. So as odd as it sounds, cops have had an experience of bullying people, and I've seen them do some very wrong things to civilians, and now the tables have been turned on the police. They've been overthrown. They've been abused. The cars are under fire and spray painted. Suddenly, every policeman in the country is awake. Some of them are quite traumatized, but guess what? They're awake. They know that they're under siege and surrounded, and this is the opportunity to tap on their shoulder and say, hey, brother, be at peace. We're on your side. We're here standing in the background. We're not submitting to anybody. We're not submitting under your authority. We're here as a co-equal branch of civilian government, if you will, a civilian organization, a civilian club, but we share the same ideas. The enemy of our enemy is our friend. So guess what, sheriff? Guess what, police officer group? Guess what? We're on the same side, but you have to show us respect. You have to, guarantee don't accost us. Don't abuse us. Don't berate us. Do not write, you know what we're saying. Absolutely. And we'll stand by you, but you have to stand by us. This has to be a brotherhood of co-equal balance So when the old folks' homes are terrorized and you don't have enough cops to go down there, we got it. Don't you worry. We can handle opportunities in areas. We can handle certain perimeters. And we just need you to be aware that we exist. We're not going anywhere. We're not some crazy right-wing radical group like the media and the leftists try and paint us out to be. But you should know that the different. But you have to recognize us and applaud us and stand with us at the same way that we stand and applaud with you. This has to be a two-way street. And I would say the winning of the hearts and minds. You have every opportunity to go to like the senior citizen homes, Sunrise, and things like that, and just make your presence known and let them know we are here to protect you. If anything happens, don't you worry. We all have mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers and uncles who are in these homes, but we're coming to you to let you know we've got you. We love you. We're here to protect you, and you will never have anybody abuse you or come into this home or cause you damage. We are standing as the Cowboys and the military men where others may fail. We will never fail. So
absolutely.
You're rising up and filling a vacuum that nobody else can fill. Go ahead.
And I believe we made that very clear with all the law enforcement officers that we've met and talked to. That we have their back. Okay, we can do things that they cannot do. Okay, they got their hands tied. Now, you're talking about a lot of them having personal issues because of what's going on. You'd be surprised how strong law enforcement is. All right, they're pretty good soldiers. They're street soldiers.
Good.
Well,
we're coming up to the last 5 minutes or so. I'm going to hand it back to you gentlemen to each, say your piece and say what needs to be said. So go ahead.
We have one member of National that's not on the camera right now that has something that he would like to say to the nation. This is as soon as he gets up here. This is Cowboy Wolf. He is our Secretary of Defense for the club, and very much a patriot to our country. And we're going to give him the floor for a few minutes.
Welcome, brother.
I'm Wolf. Started driving about 9:30 last night and just got into town. My duty was here to be with my brothers. I understand that when I first came out of the military after 24 years of service between the Navy and the Army, that I was missing a brotherhood. I didn't have what I had growing up that I had in the military, men and women who would stand by you no matter what. Each of us took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I am glad that we have orators. I'm glad that we have leaders like my president, Scout. I'm glad that we have speech makers. At the end of the day, brothers, our job is to kill the enemy. I hope peace makes it. I really hope that calm minds win out the day. I hope that law stands, and I hope our Constitution is defended, if necessary, with every drop of blood and every breath taken, that we will not stand quietly by and watch communists, Marxists, socialists destroy that which I love. And I'll be blunt. I don't know how else to be. If a man will not protect what he loves, he is not a man.
Amen.
I don't care how big you are, how small you are. You have a duty to protect what you love. Cowboys, we love our country. We're an MC. We're not afraid of violence. It is necessary from time to time that you have to tap somebody on the beak to get their attention. My job is the beak tapper. And the Cowboys have all sworn, there's a whole bunch of us standing here and sitting here in this room that have sworn that we will not quietly stand by and watch what we love destroyed by weaker men. And that's what I got to say.
Praise God. Yeah, praise God. We are 100% with you in that. Absolutely. And we want to give you the last few minutes to give us some closing thoughts. And like I said, we would like to ally and partner with you and keep our broadcast going, perhaps every other week or so, just to give people intelligence and what's going on, and keep growing your organization. So I'll hand it back to you, gentlemen.
Okay.
God bless each and every one of you for
Yeah,
what you're doing.
thank you so much for the opportunity to come on. There's one thing that I want to say right quick. One of my tech guys has been working on getting a way to donate directly through our website. That may be a couple of hours or a day before that's up. So if you go to our website, www.cowboysmc.com, we're going to try to get that up as fast as possible. Like I said before, that we have the PayPal account. If you want to help support us, there's the PayPal account. If you just want to reach out to us, and hold on, that PayPal address is cowboysmotorcycleclub@gmail.com. If you just want to reach out to us and you want to support us in some fashion, if you have resources, intelligence, whatever, you can reach me directly at cowboyscout.gmail.com. Welcome, everybody.
You're listening to Revolution.
Service to our nation as well.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure and an honor. God bless you. We will have you on again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.